Hey Optimancers, Chris here. The new Spelljammer book is just been released and it has some amazing racial options for players. 6 new racial options: the Astral Elf, the Autognome, the Giff or Jiff, the Hadozi, the Plasmoid, and the Thri-Kreen. I am highlighting each of these races in their own video. Today I am looking at the Jiff. If you like the content you're seeing and you'd be interested in supporting this channel, you can do so through Patreon. There's a link to my Patreon page in the video description. Today I'd like to thank some of my top level patrons: Airhead, Alexander Baldwin, Alex R., Rob Reichelt, Awesomeface, Barbar, Ben Potts, Benjamin, Bloody Nine, Brett McDowell, Atherazone, CJ, Chris Coons, Christian Wyndham, Unknown Watcher, Daniel Sturgeon, Dank Train, Dash Panther, Dave Peters, David Edgar, David F., David Lotz, David W. Skibbins, Dewey Cheatham and Howe, Douglas Reynolds, Drew Terry, and Eric Wasserman. Thank you all so much for your support. Let's get started. So, who are the Jiff? Well, they are a race of hippo-humanoids. And these hippo-humanoids, their homeworld has long been lost, so they're all displaced, wandering through the astral ocean. It's kind of cool. The Jiff ship is actually just like this huge cannon that they kind of built engines around, and then it all relies on this one massive attack, which is kind of cool. But if you want to make a Giff or Jiff character, then you are a hippo-humanoid, and in terms of pronunciation, they do a little joke here. Giff or Jiff are split into 2 camps concerning how their name is pronounced. Half of them say it with a hard G, half with a soft G. Disagreements over the correct pronunciation often blossom into hard feelings, loud arguments, and head-butting contests, but they rarely escalate beyond that. Yeah, we get it. How will I be pronouncing this race? I'll be pronouncing it Jiff. And the reason I'll be pronouncing it Jiff is because Giff sounds too much like Gith. So let's go over the race, and then I'll tell you what I think about it. So the Jiff traits are: you are a humanoid, you're medium-sized, your speed is a walking speed of 30 feet and a swimming speed equal to your walking speed, and then you have Astral Spark. When you hit a target with a simple or martial weapon, you can cause the target to take extra force damage equal to your proficiency bonus. You can only do this once per turn, and you can do it a proficiency bonus number of times per long rest. You have Firearms Mastery. You have proficiency in all firearms. You can ignore the loading property of any firearm. In addition, you're not going to take long-range penalties when you attack with a firearm. And finally, you have the Hippo build. This gives you advantage on strength-based ability checks and strength saving throws. In addition, you count as 1 size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the weight you can push, drag, or lift. Alright, so how good are these features? Well, creature type, size, fine. The speed, we get a swim speed, that's okay. Astral Spark, if we look at Astral Spark and then we look at the Goblin, we can see that Fury of the Small is actually very similar. Both features allow you to add your proficiency bonus to your damage. Difference is Fury of the Small adds the same type of damage as the original source of damage. It can be added to a spell, and it can be done more than once on your turn if you want to. Astral Spark adds force damage, which is good, and this can only be added once per turn and only to weapon attacks. So it's a little more confining than Fury of the Small, though I'd say of similar value. Then we have Firearms Mastery. Now this is a little bit like combining a little bit of the Gunner feat with a little bit of the Sharpshooter feat. So we're getting proficiency in all firearms, so if we want to make a firearm character, this is a good way to go to get that proficiency. Then we ignore the loading property of firearms. Again, if we want to make a firearms build, avoiding the loading property is probably the most important thing. And then we avoid long-range penalties, and that would be kind of a little pick from the Sharpshooter feat. Overall, I'd say this is pretty good. This is probably going to save your character a full feat. And when we consider how good Variant Humans and Custom Lineage are, largely because they start with a feat, being able to avoid a feat is probably just as good as long as that's the concept for the character we're going to make. And then Hippo build. What I would say that this does is it kind of takes the powerful build trait that some races have, and then it kind of combines it with a little bit of rage. So if we look at powerful build, and what it does is it makes you count as 1 size larger when determining your carrying capacity and weight you can push, drag, or lift. I generally consider this not a hugely powerful feature. It's okay. But here we're adding advantage on strength-based ability checks and strength saving throws. Well, advantage on any saving throw I'll take, even though strength saving throws aren't super common. And advantage on all my strength-based ability checks, well, that's probably usually athletics checks, and advantage on my athletics checks I'll take as well. Now, we can get advantage on strength-based ability checks and saving throws through things like Rage or a Rune Knight's Giant's Might, but here it's just built right into our race. So how good is the Giff? I'd say it's okay. It's middle of the road. I honestly think it's probably one of the weaker races in Spelljammer, but it is probably still upper half in races overall. The real question is, what would I do to optimize a Giff or Jiff? Well, I think Hippo build isn't really something I would probably build around. The fact is if I am going to look to make a grapple build, I'm going to probably have advantage on my strength-based ability checks built right in, because I'm probably going with Rune Knight for the size, or Barbarian for the Rage, and then I'm already going to have this, so it would be a bit redundant. What I would probably be doing is making a firearms build. Now that too will probably give me a bit of redundancy, because if I'm going to make a firearms build, I am almost certainly going to take Sharpshooter, which is going to not give me penalties on my long-range attacks, which Firearms Mastery does as well. However, being able to ignore the loading property on top of avoiding the long-range penalties, I could probably avoid the Gunner feat and just take the Sharpshooter feat. Now, if I make a firearms build, then I'm not going to be making bonus action attacks most of the time. So to make the most of the Jiff, what I'm looking for is, number one, I want extra attack, and number two, I want a character that's going to have a reasonably strong bonus action. So we can do this. A Bard, there's a couple different Bard subclasses, Valor and Swords, that both give you extra attack, and they might have spells as well as inspiration to use with their bonus action. And yes, there's the Monk. Monk has extra attack, and they have all kinds of things they can do with their bonus action. Ranger, I think, would be a very strong choice. So there's both the Beastmaster Ranger and the Drake Warden Ranger, and they both have a pet that uses their bonus action up. So then you're combining your extra attack with Ranger, and then we have the companion with that is using up our bonus action. And then there's the Artificer. The obvious choice there would be the Battlesmith, that has the companion that again uses up your bonus action. So those are the kinds of subclasses I'd be looking for if I wanted to optimize a Jiff character, and I'd be combining it with extra attack and a firearm and the Sharpshooter feat. So that is the Jiff. Overall, I think a solid enough race. In my next video, I'll be going over what I think might be the most powerful race in Spelljammer. I think it is a close call, and that is the Hadozi. So I hope you'll join me for that. Otherwise, until next time, I'm going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Thanks, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon.